freshly shaved, fresh Monday, no chin, okay? It's a brutal morning this morning. Not trading wise, just in life. But despite all that, it was a good day trading. I took one trade, and that was a W. So we're gonna go over it. And I tried to use context from yesterday and be like, I'm looking for zones right now, and this isn't really ideal at all, but this is like the closest thing I would call. It was a W. And basically, I was trying to think about where I screwed up last week. I think last week was also just one of those weeks, but I definitely was falling for shit that I knew I shouldn't have. And, when you know you shouldn't do it, when you know you shouldn't take that trade, and you still do it, you're like, why did I do it? It's because it's because you got a little greed going on, you're a little FOMO, you're worried it's going to work out without you. Oh, of course. Hello? Did it just play back that quickly? Whatever. All right, well, now you've seen the whole day, but there were a couple of entries that we want to go over here. You had this huge jump at the beginning of the day. First 30 minutes, 15 minutes. Classic reversal of that. And I was looking at these reg channels today, and we did take one. We didn't take one, but there was a trade that came that was related to those channels. That would have been really good, actually. So you'll see that a little later. But yeah, that big pump up got reversed. Still like overall bullish because this macro trend reversal. But we did finally get into this bigger, I think this was like a 1 day or something, supply zone. So it makes sense that this is actually like right where we turn down. I mean, if you did get in there, good for you. It'd be good to do some other, I don't know. I guess you could short there, but I'd be a little sketched out. Just shorting off of nothing but this higher time frame and that candle. Yeah, but just drawing out those supply zones as they come. You know what I'm saying? And this was weird because I said that this right here is a good place to go long. I think it's actually pretty risky because of the immediate downtrend that you're still in. I guess you could say on the 1801, maybe it'll bounce up. So that was kind of it could be a continuation of this glowback session uptrend. We had this huge pump down to break this low. What I did like about it was that this is a really strong rejection of this area at the value area low. And then you make a new high up here before coming down. So I actually think that it's not the worst entry. You just might not want to hold it until, the high of this whole day. So I think at least to VWAP would be a good target here. And of course, I know what happened, but let's just watch it. It goes a little farther, I think. Yeah. But but I think that's about as far as it goes. But a nice 38-point profit, nice little scalpy poo. And it just like bounces right off the top of that. So that's where you might not want to stay in if you're still long at this point, because it's already a little bit risky. And then when you can't break through there, you can't even close above there. It's pretty clear. But that was a good scalp to the long side. And then when you break below there, that's kind of a bigger downtrend happening. I think I'm coming down with something rough. It's not good. Okay. So yeah, we had like some lower. What's this? This is just like a high. I must have moved this by accident. Yeah. Yeah, that's why. So we coming down into this demand zone from yesterday. That is also right at the value area low. So yesterday's value area low, demand zone. Don't buy here. This is the mistake that I make all the time. I'll buy here, it goes up for a candle and then comes down. Wait for this higher low. Still kind of risky. Honestly, don't know if you should take it at all, just because of this huge downtrend. But you are at the bottom. You might expect a little bit of a retracement. And it is a really nice candle right here. But you had this kind of new demand zone form. And I think you could expect that at least to take a little bit of a turn upwards. Sometimes you just got to take the 1-to-1. I think taking the 1-to-1 has been, you can sometimes target better. Like that 1-to-1 is right at the edge of a volume gap right here. So I would be like, okay, maybe if that's counter trend, maybe we don't want to target much further than that. And it turns out to be like perfectly at that gap. Gets up there, 31 points. Nice. Okay. Yeah. But yeah, we had broken out of the 1801 channel. And now I'm thinking there might be a reversal, but you don't break that high. And this short off of this red candle could have worked, but it's pretty risky. And there's a little bit of wick down there. It's just a lot of risk. But not the worst thing. Okay. This is important. There's a reason I made the arrow gray. Hey, look. Okay. You see how delicious that looks? Okay. The ones I marked in gray are fake outs. Because what happens here is you're not really in a demand zone from yesterday or at a key level. All you get is this bounce and then a higher low. So you might be like, oh, that's a good bounce into a higher low. Maybe that's the bottom of the trend. But the thing about that bounce and higher low is that there's nothing else that supports it. Like back here, there was the demand zone. I don't know if the bottom of the trend was there. Yeah, it was kind of the bottom of the 930 trend. There was the previous day demand zone, and there was the value area low, I think it was. So you had a couple things working for you to at least take a reaction off this bounce. This one, well, now I'm realizing I'm kind of going to contradict this one, but this one doesn't get above this high. This reaction doesn't break that high or close above it. It just wicks, comes straight back down. So like the price action creating that zone is just not very convincing. And you'll see this like type of candle form and just completely fake you out. And then you get a wick, and that just goes straight down to all the stops that were down here, or whatever it may be. It's a little contradictory because like this reaction also doesn't necessarily break anything, so that's. But with the combination of the other factors, like the value area, man, it looks weird without having them. It visually, I look like the Grinch. Yeah, so that's not great because I've also been putting more weight on price action. I think structure is like really important. So this is, yeah, but again, the actual demand zone, I wonder if that's a higher time frame. What? Not really, kind of. It's like a drop base rally, I guess. You're one of those guys. But again, like there's more confluence for this than there is. This is really just like a random bounce that happened to make a little zone and fake people out. So it's a fakey. And then what happens? So this time I'm drawing supply and demand zones. Like I said in the last video, don't get like tunnel visioned in one direction because really anything can start happening. And this is where starting to see a reversal of that trend. So while we're still in an overall downtrend, you might consider starting to draw, like this is a pretty good retracement, but you are in this zone. And I didn't take this because I didn't initially like fully draw out this zone because I was like, oh, this is like not a great zone, but like in terms of the actual formation. But what is happening is you're hitting the top of the 930 and the bottom of the 1801. And then I'm like, okay, yeah, you could kind of look at this as like a zone. And then are we waiting for a reaction to come in? And you get that bar. So I like that. With the reg channels converging. You have, I haven't even been looking at I've been kind of looking at the volume profile. This volume bump right here, like really nicely. There's kind of a gap. There's not a ton of volume above that area. So it might be a little shy at first. But that volume bump that we just drew, it's bouncing off of there. It's bouncing off of the reg channels. Bouncing off the supply zone. So it's a little risky. It's actually not that bad in terms of point value. But you're 1-to-1, you're really not asking it for much. Actually, it hits the 1-to-1 in almost in one candle. There you go. You don't have to wait too long. That forms a zone. But also with this recent uptrend, I might be a little cautious about holding a short like that. So I think you can maybe take on an extra contract for a scalp because it's going to be a pretty good rejection there. But with this change in structure, maybe don't hold. And then what happens here? We had this demand zone form when this thing bounced, and this is kind of looking like the bottom now. And there's at the bottom of that zone, south of that, there's just no volume down here. So maybe we'll bounce away from the bottom. But you get in this price action after a pretty strong impulse down, and you just keep failing to get up to that area again. 1, 2, 3, and just lower wicks. So you get this kind of good looking wick, but it's not a perfect candle. There is still some red. And so even for a second, I was like, maybe this is like turning it around. But if you did buy in here, you're really just, the price, the structure is telling you that that's not going to work out. And then it does find the bottom right after that. We don't know it's the bottom until we keep launching, but come on. That higher low, and then you're just going off and breaking highs. Okay. For sure, we are at this situation. So this one was honestly a little risky. This is the one that I took because it's a rally into this kind of consolidation area. So I just kind of drew that out as like a tentative zone. And that's right at the value area low. And we're like kind of testing this. It's risky because of this big gap in volume. But we're like also testing a new area for this uptrend. And there's a lot of consolidation. Price action isn't super clear, but we are making higher highs. Then you get this wick down, doesn't touch the zone, but I did buy off that green candle. So yeah, that's super risky because that's not even a good candle, but I just bought at this green. But I'm thinking like now we're in the uptrend. We are consolidating, but I figure like we're crawling back into the value area and we're going to push through this gap if we like kind of stay above. Like it's either going to decide to stay in the value area or it's not. And if it does, I think it's going to go higher. So you are sweating for a little while on this one, honestly. But look at the price action still forming. Like the price action is still saying higher, even in this consolidation, it's still like higher lows, kind of higher highs, kind of, and then breaks through. So it's 24 points. That was the only trade I quote unquote took. And then it takes off for the rest of the day. I drew out these zones, but it never really came back to any of them. So, yeah, it was good. I'll take one trade and one win any day. Any day, baby. And if you did hold that, let's say till 4, get $162. It's $3,000. So, yeah, that was pretty chill. We're back. We're so back.